Alright class, so today we are going to talk about pupillary reflex, and in this picture you see two eyeballs. I have labeled different parts of the eyeball. This in the center, this is a pupil. So the black balls or the black blob-like structures at the center of the eyeball is a pupil. Pupil is the opening present at the very center of the iris, and through the pupil light rays enter the eye. That's a function of pupil. It allows light rays to enter the eye. Surrounding the pupil we do see pink colored circular sphincter muscles, and these are called sphincter pupillae muscles. Remember, the sphincter pupillae is under parasympathetic innervation, and when the sphincter pupillae muscles are stimulated by the parasympathetic nervous system, it helps to constrict the pupil. Alright, superficial to that, we see some muscles radiating outward, and those are called dilator pupillae muscles. Remember that the dilator pupillae muscles are under sympathetic innervation, and when stimulated by the nervous system, the dilator pupillae muscles dilate your pupil, meaning your pupil enlarge, leading to more light rays entering the eyes. Alright? Okay, so sphincter pupillae constricts a pupil under parasympathetic innervation, and dilator pupillae dilates the pupil under sympathetic innervation. Alright. Also, a few things to remember. I want you to know that only one can contract at a time. You cannot have both sphincter pupillae and dilator pupillae working at the same time. It's either sphincter pupillae contracting or dilator pupillae contracting. Now, what happens when you flash bright light on your eyes? Well, for example, let's say in the middle of the night you wake up to go to the bathroom, right? So what do we usually do when you turn on the light on the bathroom in the middle of the night? You squint your eyes, right? So when you shine bright light, the sphincter pupillae muscles are activated by parasympathetic nervous system, and that causes the sphincter pupillae to constrict, which results in decrease in pupil diameter, so that less light can come into your eyeball through the pupil. Alright, now this is a complex diagram. I'm trying to make it simple as I can. Please, I encourage you to go over this video as many times as you want, and if you have any question, feel free to email me. Alright, okay, so we are looking at the inferior side of the brain. We do see optic nerve coming out of the eyeball. The optic nerve crosses or crisscross at optic chiasm. So this part where it crosses, this is optic chiasm. I have not labeled optic chiasm because you have already learned it in brain. We also see the third cranial nerve, oculomotor nerve, in green. We also see portion of the midbrain or mesencephalon in green. And if you look into the midbrain, you see two nucleus, one in blue, one in orange. The blue nuclei are called pretectal nuclei, singular nucleus, and the orange nuclei are called nuclei of Edinger-Westphal. Again, singular nucleus, plural nuclei. So in the midbrain we see pretectal nuclei and nuclei of Edinger-Westphal. We also see lateral geniculate nucleus in black, and at the very and posteriorly we see the occipital lobe of the brain in red. Remember, the occipital lobe, it is associated with visual information. Okay, now So we know what structures we can see from the inferior side, right? Alright, now I will start drawing excuse me, how do we change color? Drawing is fine. Okay, I'll just do it this way, I guess. Why is this weird? Alright. Actually, no. I'll do it this way. Okay. Now, I will first draw these neurons. They come Okay, so what do we see here? We see that from the left eyeball, there are neurons in purple that carry visual information to the lateral geniculate nucleus, and these neurons then synapse with another neurons drawn in pink here, which carry the visual information to the occipital lobe. On the other side of the same eyeball, or the left eyeball, we also find blue neurons that carry visual information via the optic chiasm to the opposite side to the opposite lateral geniculate nucleus, and then the blue neuron synapses with another neuron that again carry the sensory information or the sensory visual information to the occipital lobe of the brain. Alright, now few things. Now the purple neuron on the left hand side not only synapses with the red neuron, but it also synapses on the pretectal nucleus. And we will see the same thing on this side. This one. Okay. So as we see here, the sensory neurons from the left eyeball not only synapses with another neuron that goes to the occipital lobe, but it also synapses with neurons in the pretectal nucleus. And from the pretectal nucleus, there is another neuron that carries the information to the nucleus of Edinger-Westphal on either side. Do you see this? So this will carry information on either side. Okay, and then from the nucleus of Westphal Edinger, another neuron will carry information via the oculomotor nerve on either side, and from the oculomotor nerve another neuron will synapse on the, or another neuron will go to the sphincter pupillae muscles of the iris. Okay, all right. So what do we see here? Let's do it one more time. So we are looking at the left eyeball. We see purple neurons carrying sensory information, and these neurons synapse with a red neuron in the lateral geniculate nucleus on the left hand side, and the red neuron then carries the sensory information about vision to the occipital lobe. The purple sensory neuron also synapses with another neuron at the pretectal nucleus, and the neurons from the pretectal nucleus synapses with another neuron in the Edinger-Westphal nucleus on either side. We have neurons from the Edinger-Westphal nucleus that travel via the oculomotor nerve, and from the oculomotor nerve we have another neuron that synapses at the sphincter pupillae muscle, shown in yellow. All right, so another representation is right here. Okay, now we will look at some scenarios here. So this is actually showing the same thing. I have drawn this before, and I'll make another video showing what happens if we have damage to the optic nerve, what will happen if we have damage to the optic chiasm. We will also talk about damages of the oculomotor nerve.